We're waiting for a signal from the radio people so we know when to start, so you know. But in the meantime, this is Bruce. So hi everybody. Hello. Master Scott, what do we got? How much? What does that mean? Not yet. Oh, well, that's fine. I can do that. I haven't break it. He's already going like that. So quiet in here. I know. Turn out the lights and everybody starts to behave.
Well, tell us something about yourself.
Something about myself?
Yeah, but you got 30 seconds.
Okay. It's the first day of summer. It's the longest day. You know, it's just the longest day. It's also Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all of you who are fathers.
What are we finding out? Oh, like now? Oh, I guess we're on.
Okay. Well, good afternoon, everybody. And I think I got that where I can use it. Thanks so much for coming, whether you're here or if you're watching at home on YouTube or Facebook or listening on the radio. We are happy to have you here. Happy Father's Day to everybody that pertains to. We haven't played a concert since early May, so happy Mother's Day. Well, I don't know what else I may have missed. Happy birthday. There's some of those in there. John Garlick, where did you end up sitting? Back over there, big 80th birthday bash yesterday. So everybody wish John a happy birthday. Yeah. And there's lots of others in there too. Mom had a big birthday. Adriana had a big birthday. So a couple of big thank yous before we do into the show and all that. First, biggest thank you, Immanuel Lutheran Church. Thanks so much. This is such a great place to play every concert. Good home for Tuba Bach. It looks good. It feels good. It sounds good. It's just a good place to be. So many thanks to Immanuel Lutheran Church. If you like being here, come back at 9:30 on a Sunday morning. I know they'd love to have you. So thanks to them. I can't even remember who all of the sponsors, all the businesses in town that take care of Tuba Bach are off the top of my head, much less all of you individual donors, but thank you all so much. I do want to call out the platinum sponsors, and for sure Ferris State University takes good care of us, Michigan State University, the Marlis Myron Memorial Fund that helps us do educational outreach opportunities, so thanks Gunder for that. And Dan Terry in the Edward Jones office that he runs, and Lerner Financial, Brad and Sarah Fath and all the folks at Lerner Financial. So big thanks to all of them, and again to all of you, because my gosh, into year number 21 now of being able to do free concerts and all that year round, and it's because of folks like you. So thanks very much. So part of what Tuba Bach does now that we, for the last 5 years, we've partnered with Michigan State University. 3 years ago, I think, in 2023, part of that, we're bringing up students and faculty from Michigan State for concerts throughout the year and all of that. 3 years ago in February, the jazz department, and I think it was when the Nonettes come up, a little bit smaller groups, but came up, but whenever the MSU jazz ensembles come up here, they always have an artist in residence with them, somebody amazing and famous and all of that. And one of the most amazing and most famous people that came up was in 2023, and that was when I met this gentleman. Bruce Forman was their guest artist that year, and so he came up and was just absolutely delightful. The music was amazing, and the storytelling was a lot of fun, and the hanging out off stage and just a chance to get to know him. And I said, this would be a really cool Tuba Bach show, and I would love to have Bruce come back. And this year it finally worked. So big round of applause and a welcome to Mr. Bruce Forman, please. And I think, so you're in for a delightful treat this afternoon. It's just a really cool mix of all the things that, Bruce is just a really cool mix. So there it is. Jazz and cowboy hats and all the stuff and in between and things like that. And we talked about the show and said, what kind of things. And it's a 250-year birthday kind of a thing for the country. And we said, well, why don't we do American songbook kind of thing? So that's a lot of show tunes and a lot of jazz standards and things like that. So All of Me, I don't think that's from a show in particular. I think that's just a tune that's been around for a while. Yeah. So there it was, but that was a good starter. And thought that maybe, again, something else, not from a show. So I advertised it as, we're going to do all these show tunes from Broadway and Hollywood. So here we go with the second tune on the show that's not that. But it is a Duke Ellington song. Don't get around much anymore.
Any key you want. I'm in the Union.
And so that's why I called Mr. Forman to come back to town. Pretty cool, eh? All right. So now, with the show tunes and the Broadway and all that, so we should do it. The next tune is actually a third in a row that's not from a movie or a show.
But it's in a lot of movies. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably the most famous song of all the ones we do. So you'll recognize it. if I play it without too many embellishments.
Or me if I just play it right.
Or yeah.
Yeah. My part of the script is all gone now. So in our rehearsal, we got that far, and then I said, "You just call the show, and you let me know what's coming up next." And then and he said, "Well, if you need me to do something at any time, just say, hey, do something." So, do something.
Okay. He also gave me a microphone, which everybody who knows me knows that's the most dangerous thing to do. But now I have power. Once again, yeah, the first day of summer, Father's Day. The first day of summer, it's the longest day. Okay, I'm going to work on the timing on that one. Okay. Anyways, it's really great to be back in Big Rapids. When Ed called me, I was really excited to play with tuba because I just love the sound of that instrument. Isn't it amazing? Although that's technically a euphonium, right? See? Bailed out of that one real fast. He thought I wouldn't notice. He promised me a tuba. But like the tuba, we have one thing in common. Airplanes are really a drag for us. You just can't, they don't let you carry a guitar or a tuba on a plane anymore. And so I would like to give a shout out for somebody really special, a man named Randy Napoleon. You probably know him, the great guitar player, teaches at MSU. I've known him for a long time, since he was a fabulous young player out in LA we met. And he loaned me this guitar. This is Randy's guitar. It actually even says Napoleon here on the tailpiece. And I'm very grateful to have not had the necessity to travel with the kids, I call it. Yeah, I didn't have to fight with anybody in an airport. It was really kind of like flying first class. It's like, I don't have to worry about it. I'm just going to get on the plane when I feel like it and not worry about any space. And I have this thing about those, those luggage with the wheels on it that change the world. So now my guitar has to fight with dirty laundry. And it usually loses. Hope that's not a reflection on my playing. But anyways, grateful to, again, Randy. And the first time I played here was with Randy and his group from MSU when I was doing the Artist in Residence program. So I've got plenty more to say, but I'm going to save it for after some sounds. Let's do It's Wonderful, Lad. Okay. We're going to play a Gershwin song. I'm sure it's from a show. And if not, I'll lie and.
It's from Funny Face.
You see? And that was not written for me. Scary Face would have been me. Anyways, we're going to do "Swonderful" by George and his lovely wife, Ira. George Gershwin and his lovely wife, Ira. You see, I said something that activated you-know-who. Something I said sounded like... That's scary. I should have left that thing backstage.
All right. Are you doing some kind of an intro?
Yeah, sure. The key we decided? Did we? E flat, I think you said?
Sure.
Okay. Just 1 second. Oh, yeah. No, we can't have dead time. We're on the radio. I forgot. Say something, Bruce. Well, I was minding my own business. Anyways, I spent a lot of time on the road. And one of the things you kind of got to deal with is where to eat. You guys get to go home and eat, or you have your favorite restaurants, your friends in town. And me, I'm just like in a new place all the time. And I went to this one restaurant the other day and I said to the waiter, I said, "How do you prepare your chicken?" And he said, "Oh, we tell them up front they're not going to make it." And then when late at night I was trying to eat, and a lot of times the only option is Denny's and Denny's. And so I was there, and after a while, I called the manager over. He said, "Yeah." I said, "My compliments to the photographer." Yeah, that happened. Anyways, So what do we? Okay, yeah, that's a great idea. We're going to do a song that was actually in a movie I saw. I don't know if it was in a show. It must have been in a show, but it's really one of the true, in my opinion, anthems of American music written by the great Fats Waller. And this is a song called "Ain't Misbehavin'," which I always wish my name was Amos B. Haven. It's still time to change it, right? Hey, Amos, what's happening? Amos B. Haven. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Unlike the guitar, I'll bet the tuba is very difficult to play when you're laughing. Just random thought that entered my mind. You know, your guitar, you can drink while you're playing, you can talk while you're playing, you can laugh while you're playing, you can cry, but the tuba, you just got to dive into that sucker. Be 100% there. Or the euphonium in this case. Do you have a preference for something you'd like to play, or do you want me to just take
I
it?
want you to just.
Okay, okay. Well, in that case, yeah, I will. Being that it's the first day of summer and I've already used my best joke and you didn't laugh. We have to play this song. If it's not a tradition, it should be. Yeah, that was better than rehearsal. We don't rehearse. This is jazz. Jazz means never playing the same thing once. Now, I'm going to do a song. I don't think any people here looking around will be able to relate to this, but I just kind of had a big birthday about a month or so. I think it was a month. I don't really remember. And I think that's what the song's about. But, you know, you get into a place and then all of a sudden you're just not remembering things like I used to. I don't know if anybody has that same feeling, but and most of the time I forget about it anyways, but and like I don't remember being forgetful. And Ed doesn't know this song, so I'm going to teach it to him real quick. If you want to play along, it's like an E chord, then an A chord, then an A chord, then a B chord, then an E chord, then stop. I seem to remember it that way. And A chord, B chord, E chord, stop. That's how it works. Okay. And then if we get that far, whatever, I'll forget the rest. Looking for my wallet and my car keys. I know they can't have gone too far. Just as soon as I find my glasses, I'm sure I'll see just where they are. Supposed to meet someone for lunch today. Can't remember where or who it is I am meeting. Must be my organizer somewhere, which I left out on the counter. Or was it outside in the car? Last time I remember driving was to that memory enhancement seminar. What's that far off distant ringing? In that strange familiar tone, must be the person I am meeting. Calling on my brand new cordless phone, which I left under the covers. Or was it outside on the lawn? I got just one more ring to go before my phone machine turns on. Hi, this is Bruce. And your call sure means a lot to me. So leave a message at the sound of the tone and I'll do my dangness to try and remember to call you back. That is, if I ever find my way back home. Bruce, this is Pammy. And I'm trying not to cry, but I've been waiting here an hour. I thought you loved me. This is goodbye. That voice sure sounds familiar. The name, it rings a bell. I don't remember the rest. I think that's a true story, but I don't remember. Yeah. Yeah. Let me see here. Oh, should we do is this some thing here? No, we can do it anyway. We can do it anyway. Yeah. He told me there was this woman who has to hear the song every time he does a show. And so we decided to do it, and then she didn't show.
But in case you're watching, hi, Marilyn, this is for you. And everybody else.
And too. You know, or you can go to the bathroom or whatever you need to do. Sure. I got one of those. I got a few of those. Okay. You know, I've led a sort of just somewhat interesting life. One of the more scary times was when I was actually trolled by the KGB. You know, and I know if you're a real spy, you would never admit that, right? So I'm obviously not a real spy. But when the incursion happened, I prefer to call it an invasion, in Ukraine about 5 years ago, I was driving down to Los Angeles to teach at University of Southern California, and just had this crazy idea came to me. I mean, as macabre as the whole scene was over there, Cole Porter visited me, and I came up with a parody called Putin's on the Fritz. And I showed up at my friend's house. I said, I got this idea, and I got all these verses for it. And he says, well, let's record it. He had a recording studio, and he was a great singer. And I said, great, you're going to sing it, right? And he goes, okay, write the words you got. And it was kind of like, I took a lot of liberties to make the jokes work, you know, and he couldn't do it, so I had to do it, which is not so great, but at least the words were right. And we did a track for it, and it's on YouTube, on the Bruce Forman YouTube page. You can look up Putin's on the Fritz. But then all the people I worked with started getting these calls from some Russian person they didn't know, telling them that they shouldn't hire me anymore or work with me, that I was a subversive and all these various things, which I am, but not that kind. And of course, it didn't really hurt my career too bad. I mean, I'm a jazz musician. You don't really hear jazz musician and career in the same sentence. So it blew over fairly quickly, but you'll see Putin's on the Fritz. It's kind of funny, actually. And we're going to play not Putin's on the Fritz. We're going to play the Cole Porter version. We're going to play Putin on the Ritz right now. But yeah. Anyways, thought you'd like to know about that. You know, sometime if you're just bored out of your mind, that might be an option. Could happen. You got to do it, man. Yeah. How we doing so far? Great. Yeah, I think I'll do a solo. Okay. You got something in you? He said he was going to leave a lot of good notes in it. I paid him extra. That was a song called There Will Never Be Another You. In a few keys, you know. That's a few keys among friends. That's a great idea.
Okay.
We're going to play a song that's most famously known as the theme song of the Harlem Globetrotters, or was when I was a kid. Do they even have them still? Are the Globetrotters still doing their thing? Wow, that's really great to hear.
Not the original guys.
I would assume yes. No, the original guys are in the World Cup now.
Yeah.
Okay, so what kind of tempo would you like?
Oh, we can cut.
Okay, good.
D. I mean, not
Yeah,
the,
for-
that
F,
one.
right, yeah.
That one.
Okay. That was the alternate ending. Now you got 2 for the price of 1. Oh, 2 for the price of none, actually. Okay, so anybody have any comments or questions or want to heckle for a second? Be careful. I'm not new at this. Okay. Well, be that way.
Polite.
I know.
I'm surprised. Honestly, if you got something else, what I've got is my handwritten in a minute.
Okay.
If you got something from Cowboy days,
Sure, I can do something. I always had some local weed. Cool. Nobody plays that in F, but I like it.
Perfect. I think that's what it'll be.
Okay, well. Yeah, you're reading our mind. We're going to do one more before that. And this is a song that's very special to me. I was mentored by this bass player who actually grew up with Charlie Parker. He grew up, no, actually, his mom grew up with Charlie Parker's mom. They were best friends, okay? And in Stamps, Arkansas, this little cotton farming town. And so he knew about Charlie Parker. And then he went off to college in Kansas City, where Charlie Parker happened to be living and playing. And he blew all the money for tuition going to the nightclubs, listening to Lester Young, where Charlie Parker was one of the other kids kind of sitting listening to Count Basie and Lester Young in Kansas City. This before World War II in the 30s. And then actually his name was Buddy Jones, and he went off into the Air Force during the war, but Charlie Parker, who we call Bird, moved to New York City and kind of became the famous jazz musician. He started this style called bebop. And when Buddy was on leave, he stayed with Bird, and it's a long story. Sorry about that. Anyways, but he's kind of like a father to me, so it's Father's Day. I'll tell this story. And he was asleep. It was one of those New York flat apartments where, it's the kitchen, the bedroom, and the kitchen. It's the whole, and the bathtub is actually the table. They put like a board on top of the clawfoot bathtub, and that's the table. And then when you take a bath, you just take the tabletop off. And he was staying with Bird when he was on leave during the war, and he woke up and Bird was like all excited, and he said, "Hey, buddy," he says, "you know how we're always writing songs that have 'I got rhythm' with a honeysuckle rose bridge?" That's the middle part. They use the harmony for that, but they would write a lot of new bebop songs on top of old harmonic structures. And the most common thing was "I got rhythm" for the A part and then honeysuckle rose for the bridge. And Buddy said, "Yeah." And he says, "Well, I just wrote this tune that's honeysuckle rose in the A section, but I got rhythm bridge," which turned out to be one of the most famous songs. Have you ever heard of Scrapple from the Apple? It's one of the most famous bebop songs. Anyways, you're going to hear it a lot now, I'm sure, if you keep coming back. Anyways, he was there in the bed when that song was written, which is pretty amazing. But then he was living out in California, and he used to hire me, and I would come down and play. And in Carmel Valley, which is where I live now, I moved down there, and we would play every weekend. Every weekend I was on tour, and this was our theme song, this song we're about to play. So we're going to give you a little feel. Buddy used to call it The Thing. At the end of the night, he would say, "Let's play The Thing," which is kind of cool. But anyways, take you down memory lane, a little reminiscing. Never hurt anybody. We're an F, you said?
Hey, it's been fun, hasn't it? Yeah. So a huge thanks to Bruce for being here and doing this today. But before we do the last thing, this is my chance to talk. Ed always needs to talk. So once again, thank you. First and foremost, thanks to all of the sponsors. Thanks to all of our donors. That's you folks. Thanks to Immanuel Church. Thanks to Bruce. Thanks for David over here running the live stream today, and Adriana and Jane getting you in the door. Mom's cookies afterwards. Don't forget that. I just saw her moving out that way. I tried to check it out. Not sure what all's there. I know there's snickerdoodles. I know there's oatmeal raisin cookies. I know there's peanut butter jelly things, and I know there's stuff beyond that. So go check it out. And please go and please eat them, because what you all don't eat today, then she says, oh, there's leftovers. I'll send them home with you. I don't need them. So please enjoy Mom's cookies and hang out, talk to each other, and talk to Bruce and all of that and things of that sort. So donors and sponsors, just want to mention, because I would be remiss if I didn't. So, the usual, we don't charge you to come to concerts, and we don't do all that. I kind of like to charge you to get out of concerts. So there is, my old tuba sits by the door. It takes donations, and anything is very much appreciated. There's some envelopes on the table out there that already have a stamp on them. If you would like to mail something to us, that'd be great, so that we can do another 21 years after this year. And frankly, just get through this year. So probably the donations would be good for that. Speaking of which, the big fall festival that started all of this back in 2006 is coming up. So this year, I think the theme I gave it was Histories and Mysteries. Mostly what it is 6 weeks of just oddball instruments and historic instruments and things like that, but with really cool people. So first weekend, so this is the last 3 weekends in September, first 3 weekends in October. The first event that kicks off the whole festival, Doreen Ketchens is back from New Orleans. We're going to have a big old New Orleans jamboree. Doreen's playing clarinet. Alvin Waddles will be here on the piano. And Max Colley's playing trumpet. Chris Glassman will be here with the trombone. So a whole big old New Orleans band. I've got, for that, in the world of odd instruments and stuff like that, I've got, I think all three of them are over 120 years old now, but a sousaphone and a helicon and a big old York tuba that was actually made right here in Michigan in Grand Rapids. So that's the first weekend, and that's all historical stuff. The second weekend, we're going Baroque, so back many hundred years back, even before the Baroque people that not Bach and not Handel and all that, but earlier than that, with harpsichord and cello and violin. Yvonne Lamb is coming up from Michigan State, professor down there. I've got, and actually Micah Laird, the new Ferris band director, he and his wife are part of that concert. Micah plays a cornetto, which is a weird instrument. You'll have to come find out what that is. His wife is a wonderful Baroque singer. I'm going to be playing the cornetto, some recorder stuff, and a serpent. So that's the oddball thing, especially that I got. The third week is a straight ahead jazz weekend, but jazz squished with classical. So that's just an oddball collection of horns and various unusual things, little piccolo tubas and British alto horns, and I forget what else I'm playing on that one, but it'll be fun. Cliff Monier is up for that concert from Detroit, playing piano. Tom Knifick, bass player, and Fred Knapp, the drummer. So that'll be a great weekend. Weekend number 4. So now we're in Oktoberfest, going to Austria and Hungary. 2 folks coming from Hungary, folk musicians, traditional musicians from Hungary, joined by, Piri plays violin, fiddle, and Marzi plays bass, and it looks like a viola, but it's got 3 strings and it does weird stuff, but he's really cool. And then also from the German end of stuff, Joe Recchia and Herb Gruber, playing accordion and clarinet, respectively. So we got lots of polkas. We got German traditional music. We all wear lederhosen. I'm going to have, that's actually true.
Glad I'm not on that team.
Yeah. But there's an Alphorn, the big Ricola, big 12-foot long Alphorn. There's one of those back there right now. That's there. There's a thing called a tornister tuba. You'll have to come find out what that's all about. And an old 1940s 14, I think, oval baritone kind of a thing from the Czech Republic back when they were making those. So that's really cool. And then week number 5 is a French classical salon music with piano. Noah's coming up playing piano for that. Jill Hybor's playing flute, saxophone and cello. And then I'll be playing, there's a thing called a French tuba that I know you haven't seen before, but it's really cool and weird. So a French tuba and an ophicleide, which is even stranger, so come see that. And then the final weekend, Kevin Seditol is the director of the wind ensembles down at Michigan State, and he is coming up along with a handful of musicians, and we're doing a Sousa band kind of a concert with double bell euphonium and stuff like that. So it's going to be a whole lot of fun, so please come in the fall, and we'll look forward to having you here. And please support however you can and will. And part of that support, the most important part, is come to the concerts and bring folks. Find new people that don't know what Tuba Bach's all about and bring them. So that's what's coming up. Talk to you about the donations. I think we thanked everybody. I need to, again, for sure, thank Bruce. This has been a whole lot of fun. Great weekend. Please do stick around and talk to Bruce afterwards. And then, so final piece. Quick story about that. This isn't really American Songbook stuff. This is from when I was a kid in the 70s, but I think you'll recognize the tune. But there was a jazz musician out of Rochester, New York is where I knew him from. Did Eastman and stuff and all that. And he popped onto the pop charts in 1976. And all of a sudden, remember when Kenny G was doing his thing in the 90s? And I think he probably was responsible for more soprano saxophones getting sold than anybody ever before or since. Well, 10 years, 15 years prior to that, a gentleman named Chuck Mangione, remember him? Yeah, and he sold a whole lot of flugelhorns. I don't think he got any of the royalties from it. He should have. He would have died a very rich man. But I was one of those kids, had to have a flugelhorn, had to do it, and there was kind of a breakthrough bringing jazz to the top 40 radio, and there was a song called Feels So Good. I remember, actually I was a stage manager. I didn't get to play with him. I was just running the operations for a concert that he did, and much like Mom's Cookies here that are such a part of all this, one of the things I remember most about that concert was hanging out in the lobby because Chuck's dad was out selling T-shirts and stuff. So, once again, happy Father's Day, happy Mother's Day. It's all good stuff, and we need support of parents and that sort of thing. So, there was a song, I think probably the one that made him most famous and all that was called Feels So Good. And so we're going to do a little touch of that. And then the show that he did that I was stage managing, he went off in another direction. And I'll explain that about halfway through things because then you all have a job to do. But this Feels So Good. So in the middle of the concert, Chuck and we were like, oh, yay, it feels so good. We all know this song. And Chuck said, and I think it was a summertime thing right around now. And he said, hey, you know what? Turns out that the chords Feels So Good happen to be the same chords as... How about, so it's the last thing on the concert. Next week, week after next, we're like 12 days out, whatever the number is. Happy birthday, 250 years of America. So why don't, as the last thing, feel free, sing along, and we'll do it one more time and run through it. Y'all ready? 1, 2. Bruce Forman. So, thank you. There you go. Thank you all so much. Mom's cookies. See you there.